So one of the frustrations as you try to become this top 10 level customer experience dealership is that customers don't always notice all of the things that you do, but they notice the things you don't do. They don't notice that you have provided all kinds of refreshments and maybe snacks. They don't notice necessarily that you're covering the seats and putting things on the steering wheel and putting floor mats in. But then they notice the little grease spot that's either on their light colored interior or on the headliner of the car. They don't get all encouraged because you've done so many great things that they then give you forgiveness for that one little thing. It's frustrating. The research shows that, in fact, what happens is this. What makes a difference to customer experience ultimately are the peaks, the valleys, and the endings. The peaks, the valleys, and the endings. Not all the little stuff in between. Now, there is a point when some of these things are givens. If you're a Highline store and you are not providing refreshments and snacks and comfortable seating area and all of the amenities that go along with it, there's an expectation. There's a permission to play element that is required to be in that business. If you're not a Highline store, the expectation level maybe isn't as high. And you can provide all those things and people might generally be appreciative, but that's the stuff in the middle. The same way that they're not expecting that all of the little elements are taken care of. The interesting thing the research shows is that you don't measure your experience on average over the length of time of that you're involved in that activity. Give you an example. If you go to Disney, you're not measuring your experience based on the average of that full day at one of the parks or of that whole week that you're away on vacation. You are measuring your experience based on the things that were really negative or the things that were really great and how it ended. Those are the three elements that are critical. So I encourage you today in your stores to help everybody to understand, how do we eliminate the really stark, obvious negatives? But instead of worrying about all of the little things, how do we focus on what would make this a really great experience and give them some peaks, the standout things that is going to cause them to go, wow. And especially when those are personal. When you have the opportunity to make a difference to that individual and it's not something that's been scripted, it's not something that you do for everybody, but that requires intentionality. That requires you to observe and to listen and to be present with that particular customer. But then, and this is important for all customers, make sure that the way you deliver the vehicle, the ending to that particular day, that particular transaction, is flawless and is positive. And one of the great ways that you can ensure that the ending goes better and how well it went is to do the follow-up the next day. Follow-up, and it's one of the things that so many stores don't do. Too many people think they've done the transaction, the customer's gone. The best way the next day is to call and do two things. Number one, thank them. Thank them for the business. And number two, don't ask, was everything good? Or were there any issues? You're kind of leading them down a path that you don't want to go. You want to ask them a neutral question and give them the opportunity to tell you plus or minus. And the question is this: Sir, ma'am, did you have any questions regarding the service that was performed on your vehicle yesterday? And when you do it neutral like that, you allow them to tell you what their thought process is, and then be responsive and deal with the issues that they bring before you. Not only in that way are you going to build a better customer experience, you're going to avoid a lot of the future issues, especially as it comes to negative surveys. A simple follow-up call that is caring, says thanks, and finds out if they have any questions. It's as simple as that. Try that today and see how well it works and whether it doesn't massively improve the customer experience and your survey results.